Well, when it's a guest, it's just their names. We can say it. Amy Rayman, A Life of Service.
That makes me sound like a...
Yep.
Nope.
How are we? Never mind.
All right, there we go. For some reason, it wasn't going to the stream.
Maybe
Islands in
get
the
some-
stream?
There's so many things to do.
That is what we are.
5,
ED?
4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It is lunchtime in Rome. Tonight is episode 157, entitled Amy Rayman. We do our very best to help everyone to not feel alone. But who's more than alone than someone with a sick child? Not many. That is one of the many great things about Amy Rayman, who will be with us at the table this week. Amy has spent much of her career raising funds for families undergoing the worst life has to offer. So pull up a chair at the table and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or listen directly on lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it would be great if you gave us a 5-star review. Hey, Jay, what specifically is this podcast about?
Being alone is the worst. Good times aren't as good, and bad times are worse when you're all alone. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. That is how you keep people from being alone and what this podcast is all about. We demonstrate that in the first 15 minutes of the podcast, and we talk about it for the rest. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is lunchtime in Rome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Eric,
Yeah.
Chris looks better this week.
Yeah. She does.
Slight
I
upgrade.
was like, wait, there's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, you found it.
So,
Chris is fine, just not with us.
right, we're sans Chris tonight.
Yeah.
And not with us, meaning he's still on Earth.
Yes.
Just
I haven't talked to him in hours.
We can neither confirm nor deny.
That's right.
And somebody's like, don't say that, because what am I? I'm like, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Like,
But so this week, we took Maggie. Actually, yeah, okay. We took Maggie to a Touch a Truck event.
touch a truck.
Yeah. And well, I had a bat in my head, but then I have another bat. So at Touch
I
a
thought you
Truck.
said bat.
Yeah, I thought you said that too. Wow.
But
It's
we
gonna be the touch a bat, but
shout out to Plum High School
Bad a truck.
and the folks that put this event together. They had every kind of truck. It was unbelievable.
see, I just thought it was like a fire truck.
No, they had fire. They had like
Touch multiple trucks.
They had 4 fire trucks.
Poor name.
They had a dump truck. They had a big rig. They had a
Like
tow-
monster trucks?
They did not have a monster truck.
How did they not have Daddy's Little Nightmare?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I've touched that one.
And a tow truck that like tows big rigs, like one of those giant
big
tow
ones.
trucks. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Oh, I've had many times in those trucks.
Yeah, it was really cool, and Maggie absolutely loved it. And still, until everybody started blowing the horns, and
All at once.
yeah, like eventually it just got to be too much, and she just does not do well with those sounds.
That's a
and,
lot
like,
of
it just
stimulus.
it got on my nerves too. Like I was just like, and I told her I was like, yeah, I don't really like it either.
But that's great.
I was joining her with it.
Yeah.
You know? But it was great. She lit up. It was so much fun. And yeah, that's the good and bad. It's kind of a combo because like it kind of ended in tears. Not so much, but there
For
was
Maggie?
some. Yeah, there was some temper happening and needed some cool off and go home and have some quiet time.
Was Amy there too, or was it just you two?
Yeah, it was all of us, and it was great. Shout out to Anna Nesbitt who put it together, and
Was it like a charity event? Like, did people donate and stuff, or?
I don't know what. Honestly, I don't know what the money went to, but I mean, we
so
did
there
buy
was
tickets.
okay,
Yeah,
I
it was like $5 a person or something
Yeah,
like
okay.
that. But I'm sure it did. But we
Where's
just
somebody's pockets?
we just want to touch
That's
the
fine.
trucks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I'm just running on empty right now. And
What's happening tomorrow?
Not that I want this to end tonight, but I'm like, after this is over tonight, I'm gonna lay my head on the pillow. I'm gonna wake up, and Amy and I are going away for a couple days, and cannot wait. So yeah,
It'll be nice to take Maggie with you, huh?
bro.
It'll be nice to not take Maggie with you.
Exactly. Friday morning when we wake up to nothing, that's gonna be awesome.
It's a good feeling.
So I'm excited and tired.
Yeah.
I was talking with Amy earlier, and I was like, I'm not even jealous. I'm just excited. Like, you guys
Yeah.
have had such a grind, and it's like you just get to go, and the weather's going to be good.
Yeah.
And you're just going to sleep.
Well, I think you and Rachel have been gone like 2 or 3 times since we were planning to go away, the first, like January, like we were supposed to go
Well,
away like
and
in
I was
January.
thinking that I was sort of jealous, and I'm like, yeah, we haven't been away since like January. Right. But you haven't been away in a lot longer than that. So
Yeah.
and before that was only December.
Didn't you guys go down to Wheeling?
Yeah, that was okay. So February.
Oh,
I feel like there's
Time
another one. I feel
flies.
like there's another one in there. I
We
don't
did an
know.
overnight DC or downtown.
you did one in downtown with the homeless guy.
That was right after
I
December.
mean, you weren't with the
When
homeless guy.
Rachel kicked my shoe at the guy that kept
Yeah,
asking
right.
us for money.
That was
That was
December?
fun. Yeah, it was right after Christmas.
What? It seems like I don't
And
know.
then Wheeling was like February. So that's why I'm fully just excited.
Yeah, and then next weekend disc golf. I'm like 2 weekends in a row, back to back. It's awesome. Let's kick off the summer.
The way to do it.
Yeah. Speaking of going away, I was at the beach.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Jealous. So
No,
jealous.
I mean,
Oh, no?
No, you
Okay,
weren't.
never mind. Just
At
kidding.
the
I'm
beach
not.
with jeans and sweatshirts.
You're
on.
right. I stand corrected on my own feelings.
I was at the Ocean City, New Jersey beach last week, and so East Coast, northern East Coast, and it was just we had gale warnings. It was 55 degrees.
Like
So-
Abigail.
It's a lady who lives down the street. She's just miserable.
Right, she just kept
Gail's
screaming.
coming out. Get
Yep.
the paper. Get everybody back inside.
So, but I mean, it was bittersweet. We went away to. It was the last time we're going to be at my family's beach house because it's being sold. It's been in our family for since 1951. So, and the weather was crummy, and all of the shops and everything were closed. But we had a really good time indoors. We played a bunch of games and just as a family had a really nice time. So the only one scary part is we did take Chalupa, our dog, and I took her down to the beach, and I thought she would love the beach, but it was so windy that and I had her off leash because she does really well off leash, but we're down at the beach and I'm like, come on. And I could just see her stop and she just hunkered down and her ears went back. And I'm like, come on. And she turned around and bolted over the dunes as fast as she could run. And I had
She
to
doesn't
run.
know where she is.
She doesn't know where she is, and I had to run after her. And then I got up over the dunes, and I didn't see her.
Oh, man.
And so I started calling for her. She ended up being like 3 or 4 doors down, and eventually she came out. It was all fine, but it was one of those moments like we just got here. It's the last time I'm going to be here, and I've lost my dog.
You don't need that memory.
No, so
And it's not as if she's a little poodle that everybody would call closer,
right.
being a bit of a pit bull.
But she's so nice.
She
and
is, but nobody who
no,
sees
Nobody
her
knows
goes,
that.
Right.
No. So, but it ended up well, and it ended up being like I said, kind of a bittersweet time. It was good and bad. That's what bittersweet generally means.
Thank you.
My 8-year-old calls it bitter sad.
Bitter
She doesn't
sad?
understand. So she says it's bitter sad, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not going to correct her. And don't anybody here
It's all
correct
bad.
her.
Change
It's
approved.
all bad.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, change approved.
But-
Time eyes.
I was speaking with your father
Uh-huh.
and talking about the trip.
Yeah, he got
And
emotional.
because there was the bad weather we had, whatever it was. They left the day after, so they went through it and then ahead of it, and then
Awesome.
got it again.
Oh,
But I mean, he
like a
said,
rerun.
yeah, and he said 70 years I've been going
Yeah.
to Ocean City.
Right.
Maybe not 70 in that house, but and it was just a great moment because he was real,
Mhm.
and I just looked at him and it was one of those like great comfort moments because I just kind of went
Yeah.
like there's no words.
No.
Yeah.
Like
It's
and
a lifetime.
and it's a good thing, and it's time, and it's all the things
Yeah,
you tell yourself.
It really is.
And they're making more money than they spent on it, and all that stuff.
Yep.
But man,
It's
the
still
memories.
the memories.
Yeah. Yeah. I just Tuesday night into Wednesday morning when we left, I just kind of went to every single spot I could and looked specifically and remembered something from where I was standing in that spot. And it hit me hard Wednesday as we were leaving, and it was definitely emotional. It's the end of a chapter, and that carries weight. So, but we've got other things going on. So it was, I'm glad to be back, and I actually listened to the podcasts that I missed. So, yeah,
It was first time for everything.
yeah, I think it actually might have been.
Well, good. And you say it's an end of a chapter. I mean, it's like an end of a book.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're moving on from.
We were a chapter, like when you invited us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, those were some good chapters.
Oh man, the memories. Like Amy and I were talking. It's the perfect vacation spot for families. It's fantastic.
Especially like
if you have a house down there.
July or August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Later on, it's great.
June is a
water.
little chilly.
Yeah.
The water's a little chilly.
A little
Oh,
chilly.
I'm normally going in the water. I don't care what time of the year I'm there or whatever. This time I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
You didn't even go in?
You didn't go
Dude,
in.
it was 51 degrees, and I just couldn't do
Not
it.
even a quick.
I mean, I put
but it's you.
my feet in,
Okay.
Well,
It was cold.
Well, they can't feel anything
It was
anyway.
very cold.
that's true. Brian has dead feet.
I do. I have no circulation
Yeah.
or blood in my feet.
If you're saying
Seems
it's cold,
problematic.
you put your feet in. You're saying
He's
it's
a
cold.
miracle.
That must be freezing.
Really?
Or I'm just getting old, which I think is the case.
Well, it says the guy who's putting a heater in his
Well,
pool.
that's exactly, yeah. So that's going well. Joe and Leah came over today, and we finished the trench, and we got everything set up. So my my friend from hockey who's coming over to run the gas line is coming over Friday. So hopefully everything's hooked up, and then I just need to get Suburban Propane out to actually put the tank in. So
Couple grand and you'll be good to go.
yeah, it's actually not quite as expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
The propane tank itself is in the install is like $700 with the gas, which I thought was pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
so,
that's not bad.
Sure.
yeah.
For me, it's, I had my big day Sunday, which was church, baptism,
You had a long day.
that I kind of almost forgot about. Like I knew it was coming. I just didn't have it in my calendar. Yeah, it's a problem when you miss somebody's
Oops.
baptism, but I didn't miss it. I realized it.
Why is that baby in such a fancy dress?
Yeah,
Oh.
so weird.
Very formal attire today.
Yeah. So it's church, baptism, fundraising concert, volleyball banquet. And it was one of those times, like I used to tell my kids that sometimes when you're so tired and it's the end of the night or even in the evening and you only had 4 hours sleep or whatever, I used to call them no think days. Like there's just, don't think because it's just going to go bad. Like don't think about anything else than what you got to
Muscle
do.
memory.
Whatever's
Just go.
the, yeah,
Just
in the moment,
autopilot.
whatever's in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Don't,
yeah.
and,
Right.
and I wasn't exhausted, but it was just like, I'm going to handle this. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to handle this. I'm going to go to the next one.
Compartmentalizing.
See, that's why
Mhm.
she's on this podcast.
I use big words.
It's a good word.
You have to tell me what that means later.
But like,
You
and,
compartmentalize.
oh, you defined it by using the word. That is
It's
crazy.
my favorite way to define words.
So I walked into the gathering place at the end of church, and I'm like, it's warm in here. The air conditioning's not working. That's a tomorrow problem. Went on to the
Yeah.
next thing, which shout out to Ventec Heating and Cooling. They came, found that there were 2 pinhole leaks in the one aluminum pipe outside. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they're going to come back tomorrow and work on it. Okay, great. And I asked him, and I said, what happens if you can't? He goes, it's 50-50 if we can fix it. I said, what happens if you can't fix it? You got to replace the pipe? He goes, no, we replace the unit.
Ooh.
And I said,
Is that under
is
warranty?
it still under warranty? He goes, it's only a 1-year warranty. And so,
So no.
right. But he was
Okay.
able to fix it.
Okay, good.
And I said to him, he goes, it's working. I said, is it working and it's going to keep working?
Right.
Or is it just working?
It's working because of duct tape or because it's actually
Right.
fixed.
And I said, do you have chewing gum?
Yeah.
That seems to work for me on most things. So the point is, got through all the busy stuff, and I almost have like a little PTSD. That's disrespectful to people. I have like PTSD. I have post-traumatic scheduling syndrome, PTS, whatever,
Yes.
disorder. S. My point is, like, I literally woke up Monday and I was like, all right, no. Do I have to, no. I must be forgetting about, no, I'm okay.
See?
And
That's why they
so
say if you want something done, give it to someone who's busy because it'll get done because they can just go.
you're a list maker, aren't you?
Oh, I put things on a list after I've done them just for the satisfaction of crossing them
Yep.
off.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, and then you cross them off just to cross them off. Yeah.
I sure do.
Yeah.
I sure do. Brian Tracy,
productive.
Eat That Frog.
Hmm.
Did anybody ever read that book?
Nah.
No?
No, but I know Brian
Oh,
Tracy,
for
and
4.
I know the Eat the Frog thing.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for throwing me a lifeline.
Yeah.
Insincere though it may have been.
This check mix, though, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, 1 for 5.
Yeah,
But she's 0 for 4 in Have You Heard Of and Do You Know?
Yeah, but
No,
the check
ever
mix.
heard of it?
See?
Ever heard of it?
Hey, what are you talking about so everybody at home knows?
Okay, so there's a show. called-
Everybody else at the
there's,
table. I
Well,
should
there's
say.
a book called The Mysterious Benedict Society that was turned into a show starring Tony Hale, who is phenomenally funny. And it is a kids show on Disney Channel, Disney Plus, whatever.
Ever heard of it?
Exactly. And there's a character by the name of Constance who has this little German accent, and she says that about a lot of things. She'll say, it's called spying. Ever heard of it? And my soon-to-be 8-year-old likes to imitate her and actually looks a little tiny bit like her. And so it just has become a thing. And so every time you say that on this podcast, I laugh. No one else around me laughs because
see, that's
no one else
funny.
gets it. Just me. And that's okay.
We have a different. Ever heard of it?
Titusville.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. So Amy is with us. And,
I am.
and I met Amy, do we know what year?
2016.
2016, the second time I spoke at Unwind.
Mhm.
And your title then was?
Associate Director of Corporate and Community Relations I
For
think.
Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh.
Foundation.
Found.
My business card.
Oh,
was
fun run
for the cure.
My business card was
run for the
about
cure.
right, exactly, Michael Scott. Yes,
Yeah.
rabies. Mm-hmm.
So, and then you left there in 2019.
2020.
Oh, it was the beginning of 2020? Because I know it was like.
It was August of 2020.
Oh, so you did cause COVID.
I was there for COVID.
Mhm.
So COVID happened. We did virtual walk, then we did virtual unwind, and 6 days after unwind, they said, "See you later."
I
Oh.
did. See, I already did not know that.
Yeah.
I
mean,
thought you left them behind. Well, you did.
I did. It was a surprise,
Mm.
but not an altogether bad one. In the moment, very bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
like
Yeah.
in the moment, very, very bad.
That
Like
must have been such a tough year for you, especially with
yeah,
that.
not so much fun.
Yeah.
But I started a brand new job in November. So again, in the grand scheme of life, it felt like forever that I wasn't working.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially 2020.
especially like at
Yeah.
dog years. But what was really great, the gift that I had was that I was able to, that happened in August, and my girls were getting ready to go back to school in a COVID-y kind of year. So I was able to be there for that transition. Abby was starting middle school. Alyssa was starting elementary school. So it just felt good to be there and to be supportive of them and
Yeah.
have a little bit of like chill time. And I knew I would find something. I just knew that I would, not because I'm so marketable or talented or great, but I just had a confidence that something would happen. And lo and behold, I started working for Ronald McDonald House Charities in November. So again,
Oh.
grand scheme of life, like 3 months, almost to the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really wasn't all that long, and I did have a severance and all that good stuff. But so it was good, and it's such a good environment. It's
Yeah.
such a
I've heard
it's
good
such
things.
Great leadership. I can't say enough about my leadership, my team.
Yeah.
I've been in the role about 1.5 years, and I've had the same exact team for that long. And when I was at Children's, I was hiring like every 5 minutes, it felt like. Not necessarily because of the cultural problems, but more just the age of the person we hired into the role. It was a lot of people. It was kind of like their first job. So it was a stepping stone. So they were moving
Right.
on, which you want them to do. You want them to grow, all that good stuff. But the grind of just hiring all the time and having
Yeah.
to start over and get
Retraining, hiring,
and new
retraining.
team
Yeah.
chemistry. I mean, if you have a different person in this chair every single time
Yep.
consistently, it just gets a little, it
Yeah.
wears on you.
You're spinning wheels and not moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, kind of sometimes,
And you-
but still having the expectation of moving forward.
Right.
That was the toughest part. Was like,
Yeah.
well, why aren't you like here, and here? I'm like, well, and these are excuses. Well, it's also the reality. They're not excuses. It's the reality of the circumstance. So,
And your new boss, I remember you
amazing.
telling you to not work as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she will send emails periodically and say like, hey, I just looked and noticed that you have XYZ days of vacation. When are you planning to take them? I had a call from someone who I deem everybody important, but this person was like kind of connected important. I was off on a Friday, and this woman called my personal cell phone or texted me, I guess. And it was information I thought my boss needed. She was not off, so I just screenshotted it and texted it to her and said, hey, just wanted to let you know this happened. And she said, that's great. And then in all caps, please stop working. No more texting or emailing. Go enjoy your family.
Yeah.
Are you kind of a workaholic? Like,
I was raised in a workaholic culture professionally. And as a result, I have PTSD. And again, I don't like to say that flippantly and disrespectful, but I do think that there are multiple kinds of stress that can linger
Sure.
and kind of stay on you like a stink. And
Sure.
that is one for me where I had bosses that just, they didn't care about your desire to create a balance. And I don't think balance is something that you find. It's not like it's not on an end cap in Target, and it's not, on
Right.
the third aisle from the left in Giant Eagle. You have to create it. And I
Right.
had lots of managers who didn't really support that.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that there's a difference between being allowed to do something and being encouraged to do something.
Yeah.
So they might talk like, oh yeah. And then the next breath, they're emailing you at 10 o'clock at night and at 10:05 texting you, why didn't you respond?
Right.
There's a difference between being allowed
Yeah.
and encouraged.
Yeah.
And I'm in an environment now where I'm very much encouraged.
If not
That's
mandated.
awesome. Yeah.
Kinda.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
kinda.
Well, before we go too deep
It's a
into
good place to be.
the professions, which there are intricacies of both, because it's, we talk about the fact that you're providing for people in their greatest hour of need, but you don't always get to see that either. And so I want to look into that later. But
Yeah.
tell me, because I know you since 2016. These guys know you since 8/16. this evening.
Right.
What was life like growing up? Where were you from? What was home like? What was home life like?
So I was actually born in New York, and
It's a big state. Which part?
Binghamton.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah.
I have.
It's the Titusville, New York.
Bigger.
Whoa! Shots fired, Chris.
So, yeah, he's not even here to defend himself. Poor guy. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
I said sorry with quotes. So I was born in Binghamton. My dad's job took them there. I have an older sister, and the four of us moved back to Pittsburgh, where both my parents were born and raised. We moved back when I was only 3.5, so I don't remember anything of New York. And every now and again, I'll slip up and say, like, "Yep, Pittsburgh, born and raised." And my mom will say, "You were not." I'm like, "Oh yeah." But we lived east of the city pretty much my whole life. Again, older sister, just the four of us: mom, dad, sister. Sister now lives in Cleveland.
Well.
I know.
Never
It's
heard
actually,
of it.
Yeah, right. It's actually kind of
Parts of it are fine.
It's kind of a cool city.
It is a
if you
pretty
don't
cool
mind,
city.
if you don't
It's not
mind that
bad.
it's Cleveland and you were born to like
Right.
learn to not
To hate
like Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yeah,
What was
exactly.
in that song "Cleveland Sucks" or whatever? When he was like, "The Flats, we're on fire."
Yeah,
And
I know the
Because,
song, but I can't remember.
wasn't
the
it?
whole thing.
Yeah, they did set Lake Erie on fire,
Our
or the
greatest
Cuyahoga River, one of the two.
Well, no, but it was later than that. Or was our main export is depression or whatever.
It's a good song.
Yeah,
Unless you're from Cleveland.
true.
So
But they do have Michael Simon. Sorry.
No, so I don't know. I mean,
What did your dad do?
This is great. My dad, because he worked for Oscar Mayer.
Oh
He
yeah.
worked for and my maiden name, is Jumba. So when you're So when your dad works for Oscar Mayer and your last name is Jumba, when you get to middle school, the boys think it's really funny to put bologna on your locker. So I would have slices of
Jumbo.
Jumbo. I'm Jumbo. But fun fact, so when my dad was working for Oscar Mayer, he had a connection to the Wienermobile. And the two people who drive the Wienermobile are, in fact, called hot doggers. And these two particular hot doggers were Julie and Jonathan, and they were lovely and fun individuals. And not only did that Wienermobile arrive in my driveway of my parents' home to take my sister to homecoming,
Oh, that's awesome.
my sister and I had the great pleasure of riding actually atop the Wienermobile in the Columbus Day Parade through the streets of downtown Pittsburgh.
Wow.
I mean,
Was it with pride or was it with Yeah.
yeah.
No, Columbus Day Parade.
Yeah.
Not the pride.
Yes.
Yeah,
I-
this was pre-pride.
I got
But
you.
yes, I was very proud. Absolutely. Very, very
It was
proud.
last year.
What's in the Wienermobile? Like,
Their seats.
is it like
they're
a bus,
bucket
kind of like a
seats.
bus thing situation?
Kind of, but it's very like concave, convex. So it's kind of, yeah.
Nobody knows.
Are the seats like
I
on,
don't know how you
on the
know
li-
that.
like
It's
the
unknowable.
side, or are they facing forward?
They're facing forward. There's
Okay.
like a driver's
Like
seat.
rows.
It's almost like a bus when you get on. So there's like
Yeah.
one seat.
Yeah.
I think there's only like one seat in
In the cockpit.
cockpit.
Yeah.
and then
Of the
3 or 4.
Wienermobile.
Right, 4-year-olds, knock it
Yeah.
off.
You can't help it.
Oh,
I
is that
think
what
it's
you thought
true.
we meant? Oh,
Oh yeah,
That isn't
my
at
mind's in the
all.
gutter. Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I was
sure.
just trying to
Pastor
get
Jay.
the
put these things
Right,
together.
get the facts
That's
correct.
just
Yeah.
craziness.
Mhm.
And
yeah, so-
Norwin School District. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Shots fired back.
I'm sorry.
Penn Trafford.
Oh, you're born and bred PT.
No.
Well,
I grew
not
up.
born
I
and
grew
bred. New York.
actually,
Binghamton.
Born and bred
I
Never
was
heard
born
of
in
it.
New York. I
Right.
moved back. I actually attended and graduated from Franklin Regional High
Oh,
School.
Franklin. Okay, that's what I meant. I knew
Yeah.
it was one of the bad schools near PT.
Sure, right. It's that. Yeah. Mhm.
Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow. Right.
Think
Go
they're better
Panthers.
than they are.
Yeah, and that's why I often will. I mean, it was a great school, but it has that reputation, and people are like, ugh, Franklin Regional. So went to Franklin Regional. My girls are Penn Trafford. We're warriors, not worriers.
Mm.
Which is a
Which
total
I-
lie. Which is a total lie. Because worrying is one of my superpowers.
Take a note on that.
Less super, more power.
We have a controversy here in Penn Hills. We have many of them.
No, you don't say.
One of them is, should we get rid of the Indians nickname?
Yeah. Mhm.
Because my school district figured, you know what?
This seems like the right time to do it.
Everything. I mean, you've been into PR and stuff like that. And
Sure
you
have.
think, why not wake up an alumni base who is just indifferent and make them angry?
It's a really strong strategic move.
So right after that, we played at Penn Trafford. And I've been to Penn Trafford a ton of times.
Did they do the warrior chop chant?
They did not. But I walked into the gym forgetting the 5-foot-tall wooden statue of, in fact, a Native American,
It's
indigenous,
like a
if you will,
cigar
warrior.
shop.
Yes.
Like
And I was
Seinfeld.
like, boy, they ain't hiding from that at all, my man. They're like, yep, that's who we are out here.
They did not change the mascot, but they did get rid of the use of the face on a lot of things. Like we used to have like an Indian face on a lot of like t-shirts and stuff, and that they don't use anymore. And I don't remember if they got rid of. I haven't really seen much of the arrow these days, but I haven't also really paid attention.
When it first came up a couple of years ago, I told people that the arrow that goes right across our football field and through our gymnasium, through the PH, it's actually, I believe, the part that crosses the H.
Yeah.
I said that's in fact the arrow that points to equality. And God bless their hearts, these high school girls were like, oh, that is really sweet. I was like, I wouldn't share it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't tell anybody I told you that.
Well, that's why you always listen to teenagers when they rail about stuff, is because they're so well informed and
they do nothing but make sound decisions and have a breadth of knowledge.
Yeah, I was just about to say, from a very smart and educated place.
right.
Yes.
Yeah,
A lot of
absolutely.
We should
experience.
always listen to people younger than us.
For sure. They know.
So
They
you and
definitely
your
know.
sister, who is older or younger?
She's older. She's 3.5 years older.
Ooh, and with good relationship growing up? Or about
Yeah.
like you'd expect with 3.5
About like
years?
you'd expect, but yeah. Different. Very different. She was way more the athlete. I was way more the study nerd. So different. But yeah, good relationship.
Friend groups didn't clash.
No,
Didn't even know each other.
not really.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, a little bit of overlap where when her friends would come over, they would want me to hang out with them and be like, because I was like the little sister, like, oh, let her play. And my sister's like, no, this is. So there was a little bit of that. But yeah, we were two separate.
And how about now?
Kind of the same. Our lives are just so different. We're just different. Like we have different personalities and different ways of expressing our personalities.
Yeah.
How so?
I'm a lot chattier. She's real funny though. She's real funny. And
you're funny.
Looking. She's
No,
she's
mine is
very funny,
self-deprecation.
and I know that's another superpower. She's just I don't know how to explain it. She's more reserved. Once you get to know her, she's hilarious and she's crazy and she's goofy, but she's also like she's fiercely independent, which I am to an extent, but her independence, she's lives on her own, she's not married, she doesn't have kids, so she's independent in that way as well. Like not just independent, I can do it myself, but independent, I am doing it
She's
myself.
capital I, independent.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, and we just have different interests. She's into rowing, like big time into rowing. She rows on the rivers in Cleveland all the time. She reads beyond, I mean, like she could build furniture out of all the books she's read, just like she reads like a crazy person.
She's probably read a book about making furniture from the book she's read.
She probably has. She's made a coffee table book. I don't know. But I mean, I like to read too, but it's not nearly to the same extent that she reads.
She doesn't have the breadth of TV knowledge you might have.
Perhaps not.
Yeah.
Perhaps not. We do have a lot of, I mean, we're both very into sports. We're both, family oriented in that regard, but different.
And
Just
what
different.
was mom and dad like growing up? Like who was?
The disciplinarian.
Yeah,
They're great. They're I mean, I have a wonderful relationship with my parents, and I had a really great gift to be. So my sister and I are 3.5 years apart, as I said. So she was the only child until she was 3.5. I got to be the only child when she went away to college. So I had my parents' undivided attention at a different point in my life. So I think that was a unique experience and a different perspective on being friends with my parents and having that kind of a relationship. My mom went back to work full time when I think I was in maybe second grade. But again, I don't really remember too much prior to that. So it's not like I have memories of like, we were home together every day and we made Play-Doh from scratch. Like maybe we did, I don't know, but I don't remember it. So I don't feel like I remember
missing it.
Right. A time when it was like, oh, now mom works and this is different.
Right.
My dad traveled quite a bit for work. But I definitely, they were always present at dance recitals, chorus concert. I mean, we did a lot of Dick's Diner in Murraysville after a chorus concert. I mean, that
Dick's
was
Diner action.
I had to go for pie after chorus concerts.
Did they close? Are they?
No,
They're
still
like open
Are they?
weird hours.
Yeah,
But it's only
weird
for like
hours.
breakfast and lunch,
Okay.
I think.
Something, yeah, it's kind of sad. But they were always there, always present. Mom was more the disciplinarian than dad. for sure. In fact, we were just talking the other day that if my dad would ever get mad, my sister and I would just laugh because we were like, what is happening? Like, not, when you're trying to discipline your kid and you get the giggles, but like we were just so stunned. We were like, and he would like never swear. So every now and again, he'd be like, damn it, Amy. And I'd be like, oh, what in the world? And then he'd be like, Dad just said, damn it. And like, that was funnier. And then and she's like, well, why are you in trouble? I'm like, oh yeah, probably, but I don't know.
But Dad swore, so.
But Dad swore, so I mean, that's what's going in my diary tonight. So, but no, they're good people. They're really good people.
And you still have them both?
I do.
And how are they as grandparents?
Oh my gosh, that's probably way more fun than having them as parents because I don't remember being 8 like super well. So to watch them with Alyssa, and grandparents are just different because they're more relaxed and it's a different responsibility level and a different understanding and all of those things. So they're awesome. My mom was working full time, and right around the time I had Abby, she likes to say she was retired. It was sort of like an optional but not quite optional, very bizarre set of circumstances. And so the intention was that she was going to watch Abby just for a little while. And that turned into a real, real long time. Partially because Abby was born on July 21st, which is my late grandmother's birthday, my mom's mom. They were born on the same day and several years apart. And in February of the following year, my grandmother passed away. And my mom was watching Abby. And I think it's probably way too profound to say like Abby saved my mom's life because I don't think my mom was going to like wither up and die when her mom died. But I think having that different sense of purpose was really important for her. And also Abby being 7-8 months old, I mean, 7-8 months, they're getting personality and they're getting a little bit mobile and they're just fun to interact with. And so I think that was a huge godsend in a lot of ways. And to this day, Abby and my mom are like thick as thieves. Like they actually were out last night. My mom said, it's, Tuesday night, you don't have any activities. Do you want a Nunny and Abby and Alyssa date? And Alyssa didn't want to go. And Abby said, I'll go. And, that's Alyssa. Alyssa's just like, nope, not into it. So Abby said, can I go? Can it just be me? And my mom's like, absolutely. So they, out they go. And they're, again, grandparents. Like Abby wanted to go to Five Below. I would rather put a poker in my eye than go to Five Below. But my mom's like, sure, let's go. And they were in Five Below for probably 45 minutes, just like wandering.
That's
a
great connection. It's such a good,
it's very special.
Yeah, very meaningful.
It's very special. Yeah, absolutely.
So you graduate from not Norwin, not Penn Trafford.
That's correct.
But the Panthers of Franklin Regional.
Rawr.
And what significantly happens in the next period of your life? And that's not a loaded question. I'm just saying, maybe you just went to college or...
I did. I went to Elon College in North Carolina, which is now Elon University, but it will always be Elon College to me. And I was listening to the guest you had on last week about wanting a fresh start, and that was me. I was not a fan of my high school experience all around. Some parts were amazing.
Ashley.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How come?
I didn't feel like I fit anywhere. I was one of those people who was friends with multiple different kinds of people, but high school gets, as you know, very cliquey. So there's like this group and this group and this group. And I didn't feel like I had like a group. I mean, I played softball, but I don't feel like I was like, oh my gosh, all my softball girls. Like I got along with them and we were fine. We were good teammates, but like we weren't hanging out 24/7.
You were like the satellite that would revolve around other people's orbits.
Something. I just like kind of split it around. And part of that is I've kind of figured this out like later in life. I don't like labels. There's so many things about us as individuals that are just out there, like that you can't not identify, right? I have blonde
We're too
hair,
complicated.
Right.
Or too complex.
Right. I don't have glasses on my face. I do have glasses. Like there's just so many things so I don't like labels. So I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm a nerd. I'm a jock. I'm a this. I'm a that. Like I'm a friendly person.
I'm me.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I played sports growing up, so I was always part of a team. So it's not like I had a problem associating with, I guess it's more of just like, I don't like to be defined or pigeonholed and part of it too is the perception of whatever that is. Like I'm saying, I don't want to be a nerd. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd. I mean, I know nerd has a bad connotation.
But you're more than that.
Correct. I'm more than that. But also, you might define nerd as someone who's geeky and
Mm-hmm.
computer smart or whatever, and that's not what I am. But you say nerd, and this is your definition
Sure.
of it. So because I didn't want to be beholden to your definition of nerd versus your definition, I don't like labels.
So when you and your sister were very different growing up,
Yeah.
and today,
Yeah.
but growing up, did your parents celebrate that difference and so into both of your lives that way?
Yes.
And would you say they valued that, or just sort of what they did?
They valued it. My dad, so my dad was a sales manager, so we'd be like, Dad, don't manage me, parent me. I'm not one of your reps. I'm your daughter. Because he's very pragmatic and he's very like methodical. I mean, he's
Sure.
caring and loving and all of those things, but
Right.
he's just very logical all the
Right.
time.
When did you recognize that though? Because that's a pretty good look for somebody that is. I mean,
Oh.
were you in your teens or?
No, I was
40.
I was 10.
You recognized something like that at 10 years old. That's interesting.
One of the greatest lessons he taught me. This is so funny to think back on now because I have a 12-year-old and she's just dabbling in this kind of thing. And I was 10 and I had a heartbreak because there was this boy and he was just not paying any attention to me. I was 10. I mean, like, what in the wild, wild west was that about? My dad, I remember him saying to me, it's like a bar of soap, and the harder you try to hold on to it, the more it's going to slip right out of your hands. So just relax. And not that he was like trying to get me to date this kid at 10 years old.
Yeah.
He was like, just
Teaching
stop
you a life lesson though.
Yeah, and also like stop trying to force whatever it was, whether it was a friendship or really whatever
Right.
it was. But you asked a question about did they celebrate our differences, and my dad would talk often about fair and equal are not the same word, and people often use them synonymously, and they're not the same word. So he treated us fairly, which is not to say he treated us equally. Like if Jen needed more of my dad's attention for something, she got it.
It was all relevant to the individual.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like Jen played soccer all the way through, like from the time, I don't know, she probably played soccer in the womb. I don't know. But she played all the way through college.
Not that ball.
Seriously, crazy. Ask my mom. Crazy talented. Went to a small school, very tiny school, but they won their college championship all 4 years that she was there. I remember going, it was 5.5 hours from home. Dad loves to drive. We would get up in the morning, get in the car, drive 5.5 hours to her college, watch her soccer game, take her out to dinner, and drive 5.5 hours
my
home in the same day.
That's Ocean City.
And
That's
you're in
going
high
Ocean
school.
City.
In a day.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And like you're in high school with other things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We graduated 11 days apart. Her from college, me from high school.
Wow.
But so I just remember, so a lot of my childhood was growing
In the
up
car.
in the car, but also like watching her play soccer. And I played
Yeah.
softball, and so we were opposite seasons. So like it worked, and like I never really felt shortchanged. Like I'm not going to be able to do this because we have to go to a soccer tournament. I mean, every now and again, I'm sure I was a petulant little kid about it. Like I didn't want to do
Sure.
that because me. It wasn't about me in the moment. But that they were, Jen was pursuing her thing, and that was fine. And I was proud. I mean, I can remember standing up in bleachers and like yelling, like, "Don't push my sister!" and like whatever. Like just I would get really fired up to watch her play. She's really good.
That's such commitment. Like, I'm just thinking about Ethan has a hockey tournament in down in
Titusville?
New Stanton tonight. This Saturday. First game's at 8:30, and it's an hour drive. So we get up we have to be out of the house by 7, and I'm like,
You're doing hockey math.
"Do you
You're
wanna-
going backwards.
Do you want to
Like,
quit?" Like, how serious are you about hockey? He's like, "You don't want to go to my game?" I'm like,
Not what I said.
how old is he? Can he drive himself yet?
I mean, he could drive. No, I'm excited to do it, but
Mostly.
not that kind of 5.5 hours.
I mean, that was not like
Christ,
an
that's-
everyday thing, but
but
that happened
still,
a
that's-
handful of times.
Yeah, that's
Well,
a
and
lot.
Like, and I remember one time, I mean, like dishonesty here, but like, I think I don't know, I probably called in sick to school, and I remember it was like her school was in Virginia, so it was considerably warmer most of the time. And my mom's like, "Don't get sunburned. You cannot go back to school tomorrow with sunburned. They will wonder what happened to you. You cannot get sunburned." I'm like, thanks for caring about my skin. It's really about like whether the truant officer is going to call you.
Because those are big time in Franklin. Let me tell you, they will knock your door down. They're
they
big
come out.
truancy
They
folks out
come
there.
out you with a 24 karat gold thing to bang on your door, and anyway, yeah, because everyone makes fun of Franklin for being bougie.
Yes. But also you said that, hey, high school was great because you got to be the only child.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Except when you had to drive 11 hours in a given day. But the rest of the time was great. So mom
But I honestly didn't mind that.
right.
I mean, like,
road trip.
It was a road trip. And
And
it
you
was
loved your
just,
sister.
Well, and she was really good. So, like, there's a little bit of, like, puff up your chest. Like, that's my sister. Like, I know her. Like, I'm with the band. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. So, not that like, translated into anything. But it made me feel good. Like, I was really proud of her. She's really good.
And then you went to Elon College.
I did. I went to Elon College, and I found it kind of by accident. I visited many of the schools that my sister visited because we would coordinate that as, like, part of our summer vacation. Like, we're going to the beach, but we're going to stop at 6 colleges on the way.
So you guys did like beach trips together?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
And we, my sister went to visit Elon. I got ferociously car sick on that particular trip and did not make it to the visit. So when my dad and I were going to look at schools for me, the joke was, you want to stop at Elon and then you can check off like another school you visited. And it kind of was a joke. So we went, and it was on the way to where we were headed anyway. So we went and we parked the car, and I got out and I took about 5 steps, and I was like, this is where I'm going to school. My dad said, okay, funny, ha ha ha. He's like, no, for real. This is it. I'm done. Like, this is where I'm going. He's like, do you even know? And I was like, I had this book that had all the different things that we needed to know about college, and I like opened it to the Elon page, and I was like, it has this and this and this and this. And long story short,
You just made your decision, and that was it.
I made my decision.
And
I mean, there were other factors that went into it after that, but that was
Sure.
like that moment that I was like, this is where I'm going. And I applied early
It's good
decision.
to put a stake in the ground, you know?
Yeah, I applied early decision back in the days when you could do that and like still get out of it. Like, I think now it's like truly like a binding, I mean, you would know, but it's like a binding contract. But in any
Joe
event,
only picked one school.
yeah, see, and that's what I did. I applied early decision, and my mom was like, do you want to apply anywhere else? I was like, no. I was like, I'll find out soon enough, and if I don't get in, I'll have time to do something else. I've got in on October like 15th or something of my senior year.
Just
and I was
coast
like,
the rest of your senior
bye
year.
bye.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. That's not how I
It's
roll.
not how you roll.
That's not how I roll.
That's how I roll.
That's how you rolled.
Sometimes
You roll that way
sometimes I
anymore.
wish every now
Nah.
and again I was like, I don't want to be responsible anymore, just for like a minute, and then I'm like, that's so silly. That's ridiculous.
Nobody else could be responsible for me.
So I went to Elon. Incredible formative years. All the things you talk about. You know, like best 4 years. I wouldn't say best 4 years of my life because that makes me like best 4 years are behind me. But phenomenal school experience. Just
wow.
phenomenal. I loved everything about it.
Which is great considering high school was good.
I think it was the fresh start. I think because remember I have an older sister, and I had some teachers who
Sure.
would call me Little Jumba, and I had teachers who would call me Jennifer, even though that wasn't my name. And
Sure.
like they would ask me why I don't play soccer, and like, oh my God, I'm my own person. Like, what is wrong with you? So having a fresh start. I mean, I could say, I could just, it was whatever. And there was also like a pride of like I was 8 hours away from home and like doing it. And,
Independent.
like, I was doing my thing. I was capital I independent.
I need you to hang out with my Bella.
I would love to.
Because Bella's just all about, she's like, I want to go away to school far enough away where I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And that when I come home, it actually means something.
I heard you say that the other day, and I was like, what a profound way to put it. And she'll probably come home and like, I opened like every cabinet, like, oh, my mom's like, that is the pantry where the Tupperware lives. What is so exciting? I'm like, I don't know. It's just, like, it's really cool. It just looks so different. But I loved it, and I made some amazing relationships. In fact, I'm still you'll appreciate this, Jay.
Oh.
I'm very close to, he was the chaplain of the college. I was his teaching assistant for 3 years. We have at Elon, there is something that's an extended orientation process for all freshmen called Elon 101. And it's through the first semester of your freshman year. And you learn all different things about the town and the college and just life stuff. Like one of the first Elon 101s that I went to as a student, we got a tour of where the police station was and where the hospital was. And they're like, I know that sounds silly, but like, heaven forbid.
Kind of important.
Like truly, like if you think about it, like what could happen? And then you're in a moment of panic. And so, so he invited me to be his teaching assistant, and we just have been bonded ever since. We actually, Mark and I flew him up to Pittsburgh to marry us when we got married.
Oh.
Nice.
Because I grew up going to church, but not having the greatest relationship with church, and definitely didn't have a priest that I was like, that's my guy, that's Father Bob, and I love Father Bob, and he's always there. But Richard was that thing, and I still call him chaplain, even though he's no longer a chaplain. And he's like, you have to call me Richard. I'm like, I can't. And Abby calls him Chapter because she couldn't remember chaplain. When she met him, so she calls him Chapter. But yeah, he's a good dude.
And then
Really
where
good
does
guy.
Mark come into the picture?
Mark and I are a blind date success story.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy. So
Before Tinder and stuff?
I was going to say I
way
chose not to.
before. I'm old, way before. Actually, I'm not old. Well, I'm older than you, so I'm old. So Mark and I met. So I went to Elon, graduated, got a job in North Carolina. Hated it.
The job or North Carolina?
The job.
Okay.
But I refused. You'll find this real hard to believe. I refused to graduate college without a job. I was like, if I'm going to walk across that stage and they're going to call my name, and I worked really hard for 4 years, I'm going to be employed. Not going to be one of those kids who just drifts around. Going to have a job. Got a job. Hated it. But I was doing the thing, and I was living on my own. I had a great little apartment, and it was super great. And most of my friends moved away. Like, they graduated and went home, or they went wherever. So I was like, truly, honest to goodnessly, making it on my own. And I had volunteered for an organization when I was in high school and kept in touch with the director, and he called me.
What was that organization?
This one? Western Pennsylvania Caring Foundation for Children.
Whoa.
Yep, real long. And
You and your long acronyms.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to, I don't know. So,
Work for Acme.
right, or Aflac. So I kept in touch with him. He called me one day and he's like, how you doing? I was like, oh, great. Putting on the fake, like, don't tell my mom and dad I'm miserable because I hate my job. This is the best decision I made. I love it. I'm great. He was like, oh, really? He's like, that's okay. That's interesting. Because he's like, we have a job here at the foundation. And I just thought, I was like,
I'll take it.
seriously, I'm like, tell me a little bit more about this job. I'm like, what would I be doing?
I might have a friend that's interested.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that was pre asking for a friend. So, long story short, I took that job. I moved back on New Year's Day 2000. My dad, bless his heart, drove down to North Carolina in a U-Haul to help me pack up my apartment and move me home. And I lived at home for a little while. And I got involved with the CLO ambassadors. I don't even know if they're still a thing, but they were at the time. They were like young, like it was a networking arm, which sounds real weird, networking arm of the CLO to like go out and be an ambassador and be like, you should go to the shows. They're amazing. Come to the shows. And they had a wine tasting event at the Duquesne Club as a fundraiser
So
every
many
year.
full circles.
Right? So, right? I didn't even, wow, mind blown. So I was working on the committee, and the night before the event, I was at work, and the co-chair of the event called me, and she's like, hey, you're coming to the thing tomorrow. Yeah. And she said, you bringing anybody? And I said, my mom and dad. And she said, no, like, are you seeing anybody? And I was like, no. She's like, because I have this, I'll never forget how she said it, male friend of mine. I was like, thanks for clarifying. Whatevs.
Not there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. But I was like, it was just an odd way to put it. This male friend of mine I'd like to introduce you to. And I was like, cool. All right, whatever. Didn't really think too much more of it. And then the next night I was working and I'm like knee deep in registration and trying to like make the line move. And she comes over, she's like, oh my God, Amy, this is Mark. And I was like, hi, nice to meet you. I'll find you later. Like kind of blew him off. And if he's listening, he's laughing because his favorite part of the story is fast forward the whole rest of the night. Like we found each other throughout the evening in the room. Like, hey, how are you? Talking, chit-chatting. And then a bunch of us went out to a now defunct club on I guess it's in the Cultural District. It was Dow's on 9th. Do you guys, anybody remember that? It was
I remember
Dow's.
that.
Dow's.
Dow's.
D-O-W-E-S. It was a jazz club.
Mhm.
Like who was I when 21, 2, whatever, going to a jazz club. But this cool jazz club, and I guess on Friday nights they had like salsa maybe. They had something funkier than jazz. Not that jazz isn't funky.
Jazz is not funky.
I mean, it has its moments. So we go to Dow's and we're hanging out and there's this group of us, whatever. And I don't know. I promise you I had not had too much to drink, if anything, because I was working. So I really wasn't thinking about that. But I decided to give Mark my number and I was like, the ball is in your court. And I gave him my number and I've never done something like that before, ever. And then his favorite part of the story, Mark, if you're listening, you can say it together. I then went home with my parents, and he thinks that's just hilarious because my dad came over, he's like, we're leaving. And I was like, okay, gotta go. Bye. So that's how we met, and we've been together ever since.
And how long until you got married?
3 years.
You did the 1.5 date, 1.5 engage?
No, we got engaged on Easter Sunday. The day before I started at ESPN, ironically, and married that October, so April to October. So we're engaged for 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Yeah. Well, I really wanted a fall wedding, and I really didn't want a long engagement. So I was like, I give up one of those two things, and we had been together for 3 years, and I was like, we can make this work. Like we'll figure out and really, it should be more about the marriage than the wedding. So
You made some lists.
Yeah, we gave my parents 50, his parents 50, and us 50, and we were like, that's the cap, as opposed to being like, bring back your list. And then we're like, well, now how do you cut? We just said 50, 50, 50. And we wanted, we refused, one of our rules for our wedding was we did not want to have any introductions. So everybody, I mean, potentially, like, you could have introduced yourself to Brian at the table, but the idea was that Mark and I were not going to be introduced. Like, I didn't want to be like, oh, and Amy, this is blah, 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 blah. Like,
if you don't know him, you didn't qualify.
Correct.
Well, that's
fair.
It's kind of baller.
Yeah.
Well, it's your wedding. You get to do what you want.
That's right.
It was one heck of a party. I loved it. We had so much fun. So much fun. So much fun.
So you were married, did you say, in 2003?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, coming up on 19 years.
20's right around the corner.
I know. Keep planting that seed. Hopefully Mark's still listening.
Yeah, hopefully. It could be as nice as Rachel and mine. Dinner at the Oakmont, or in Oakmont, and then she got stomach cramps from the cauliflower. We went to go the spot of our first kiss, and it was in North Park, which was closed by the time we got there. So we went to Sheetz, went home.
That sounds pretty real life. I like that. Real life.
Very real. It was
I
good
mean,
times.
you know, sometimes the expectation is way too hyped. It's like, you know.
But then later on that year, we celebrated in Pymatuming. So really, it worked out well.
Wow. I mean, I don't know how you go from Sheetz to Pymatuming, but hats off to the Mitlows.
Route 8.
Okay. In my car, dummy.
So your career has been centered around fundraising.
Yep.
I want to hear about ESPN for a second.
But before we get to the fundraising, what did you do for ESPN?
I sold air.
I sold
air.
You make all the time.
I do. I was in radio sales.
Not an easy job.
No. In a, let's list them, down economy on an AM station that loses its signal strength after dark. And it's not rated, and it's also got one of the most polarizing figures.
Was that ESPN 850? Like around here, 1250?
1250.
Who, Mark Madden?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Polarizing. That would be the way you would describe him.
Also, there's the internet to compete against.
Not so much at that time. I mean, sort of, like Sirius was...
Oh, I guess you're saying like this
was
is
in
like...
2003. Yeah.
So almost 20 years ago.
2003. Yeah, because...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, people are still with the dial-up. Yeah.
Although, I mean, we did have... Sirius was a thing, and my husband had just recently gotten Sirius, and I was like, you do realize that I sell commercials, and you are buying something that is all about not having commercials. You do
for
realize...
a minute, it was about not having commercials.
Well, that's true. That's true for a
minute.
minute.
But yes, that was not good support.
It was not, but that's okay, because he didn't, it
he
worked
went,
out.
no, I didn't know that. And you went, okay.
Pretty much, yeah. But it was great. It was the perfect job at that point in my life, and I had some incredible experiences. I was I was at ESPN when the Open came to Oakmont. I was at ESPN when the Steelers went to the Super Bowl in Detroit. That was a harrowing trip in more ways than one. I was here when the All-Star game came to Pittsburgh. So it just a lot of, and just the relationships. I mean, we were literally, there were probably 8 sales reps in a space about this size. So you were forced to be literally in the trenches with these people. And it taught me a lot about having thick skin. It taught me a lot about rejection. It taught me, I still have some really great friendships to this day that I made in those years. And one of, this is real crazy, one of my, I'd say best friends, but I don't, whatever, closest friend, someone I talk to on a very regular basis, is someone I've never actually met. But I was trying to get Guinness on the air for the Great Guinness Toast to be part of ESPN's lineup. And I contacted someone locally, and they said, no, all of our ad stuff is done out of Cincinnati. You need to call this agency. And I called the agency, and lo and behold, I met Sarah over the phone. 20 some years later, or 19, whatever it is, years later, we talk 3, 4, 5 times a week, and we've never actually met one another.
Wow.
You
That's
guys
crazy.
are pretty close. I mean, if she's Cincinnati, that's like 5.5 hours. It's like get your dad to drive you out there.
I know, and back in a day. Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. But we're not getting Skyline Chili. Whoever said that last time.
That was me.
Oh.
I know. Nobody likes it.
I mean, that's okay, and that's fine.
I
To
get
each his own.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
her.
So that's true. Well, I was saying his because he's whatever.
You have to be careful.
So then
these
you
days,
moved on
Amy. I don't know
that's
if you're
true.
aware of
then you
that.
moved on to the
Heart Association.
yeah.
Yeah. Heard about your ticker for a minute.
Just for a minute.
Not
still
anymore.
do. I still do, but whatever.
You still care about kids going to CLO. You still care about
I
sports,
care about all of it. I care. Yeah, I
advertising.
definitely care about sports.
Speaking
for
of
sure.
kids, though, like I want to understand, like you like tell me how you guys connected. I mean, obviously there was some cancer stuff. Like I don't know how to do this.
Heck of a transition.
Real
Brian.
good.
Hell of a segue.
So
Especially when
that's
I
going to be one of
started
those.
with
Wait,
that, with how we met.
well, kinda, sorta. That's going to be one of those
Unwind.
like before the show starts where you're going to be like,
the
I don't know how to
drops.
do this. Yeah. That's okay.
go.
Sorry, technical term guy. So
I'm pretty techy.
So we met when Jay was the featured speaker at an event for which I was partially responsible. Kelly was still in the picture at that time.
Kelly.
Kelly.
Was that the Unwind?
She has 3 kids now. You know that? And they're all D's. I'm going to get their names wrong. Dorian, Damien. I don't know. Anyway, yes, that was Unwind.
That was the Unwind.
Yes.
D'Souza. It's the last one.
Might be. DeBrickashaw. So
It's a great name. We thought about naming Ethan that. We kicked it around.
I wanted to name Joe Shadrach.
Ah.
That didn't happen either.
sorry. They have great Christmas light display. So, anywho, Shadrach's, doesn't it? Isn't that the Christmas thing up in Butler or something? Yeah, look it up. Okay. Ever heard of it? So, that's how we met. And I really can't remember. I've been really trying to rack my brain how Cougar Town came to be, because it was so in fundraising, obviously, as within a lot of jobs, but it's all about relationships, and it's all about, you know, and I, as Jay alluded to earlier, like I don't always shy away from saying what I think, and sometimes I forget that you don't know me very well, and I just like blurt things out. So I'm pretty certain that I probably blurted and then went like, oh God almighty, like I'm just meeting this man, he's telling us about his incredible journey with children's and this ending that is less than ideal, to put it mildly. And I'm thinking like, I mean, this is first meeting, and I'm like, I don't know how to take this guy, because again, now
I also don't know who I am.
I don't know anything.
Right,
I don't
like,
know anything.
this guy could break at any second.
Right, and so I probably made some like really like asinine comment about I don't remember, but we've figured out that we both watched Cougar Town, and then
Ever heard of it?
I have.
They've all tried it. Brian hasn't even tried it, I don't think. Have you?
oh, get
I
on
have
board.
tried the ones that you've fed to me.
And Eric has tried it, and he came to the conclusion it's a far better show when I recite it than if he watches it.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
It's true.
All right. I've never had the pleasure of you reciting.
Well, no, because you are of a elevated status in understanding of humor
Look at you.
and life.
Right.
Because Cougar Town is the perfect snapshot of both friendships and family and emotional needs. And you get it, but they don't.
Well, and the thing is, we'll be out, and he'll be like, you know what that is? And we're like, Cougar Town reference. And then he'll explain it, and it's hilarious. And then, like, if I were to watch the show, I'm like,
Yeah. I don't know that I have as many Cougar Town references memorized as you
No one
do.
does.
no, nobody
But
on this
it's-
earth does.
It's a good, and you know that I'm going to get home tonight and be like, Mark, we need to watch, like, we need to get Hulu, whatever. We need to find a couple episodes to watch real quick. You know, it's
But
gonna
you think
happen.
you brought Cougar Town up the first time. And so that's how we got to know each other.
That sounds like something I would do, and then like digest on the drive home, be like, "What? God, we're gonna get like, what a stupid thing to do!" Like that sounds like something I would do. Sometimes I think after.
Well, I always talk about the fact that like how somebody says something to you like aggressively, and then like later on you're like, oh, I should have said this.
Oh yeah.
Well, mine, it happens with doing good things or giving glory to God for something that I'll be driving home and be like, all I had to say was, that's what God would have me do. And instead I said, well, I'm pretty awesome. All right.
Got to work on that humility.
Kind of close there. I mean, they're kind of the same.
And it's funny because over the
God
years,
made me that way.
the time is getting shorter. So I think I'm getting closer to the Holy Spirit. Like now it's only like 5 minutes later, whereas before it'd be like the next day I'd be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Now it's like, I could have said that. I didn't, but I was, closer to that. Similar.
Similar, yeah.
So what was your job like both? I mean, are they similar now at Ronald McDonald House? Not in, obviously, style of management and everything else, but you're still in development.
Yep. Doing the
And
same things.
So
Yep.
it's the same responsibilities.
Mhm.
And is it similar to, I mean, in sales, what'd you do with the Heart Association?
Fundraising.
So that was the first time you did fundraising, nonprofit fundraising.
Well, I mean, the Caring Foundation was, but my role there was different. So
Right.
yes and no. But
Well, so how different is it being in a career of sales and being in fundraising?
not as different as you might think.
I wouldn't think, but one might think.
Well, that's so true.
Because both you're selling something.
Well, it's less about selling something, and it's more about identifying a need and identifying a solution. I wouldn't say it's a problem and a solution. It's a need and a solution.
And a relationship in between.
Correct. Mara, I don't know if you remember Mara. Mara talked to me a lot about, she sees her job as, we got a rogue pretzel ball over here. There's another drop for you.
Found it.
Dropped pretzel, drop. So we talked about
Drop.
drop.
Don't say
It's matchmaking. It's matchmaking, really. It's talk to me about what you need. I'm going to tell you what we have and where do they intersect. And I've always been of the mindset, even back, I mean, gosh, when I worked at the mall, for heaven's sakes, and silly little retail jobs.
Where did you work at the mall?
Where didn't I work at the mall? Bath and Body Works.
National Record Mart. Come on.
No.
Oh.
Close, though. I mean, all the...
Silverman's. Sorry.
Silverman.
Chess King.
Oh, Chess King. Warner Brothers Studio Store.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah. And Aeropostale, or Aristotle, as people used to call it. I'm like, can't you people read?
Aeropostale
Are
is
they
maybe the
still
greatest
around?
store of all time. No. Other than American Eagle. Really?
So...
I just know we're better, so it doesn't matter.
Right. But I could... Yep.
No.
You learned
So
even back then.
that you can't force what you want to sell onto someone else. So, like, there was do you remember County Seat?
Sure. Do
It
you
was-
mean where Rachel worked?
Did she really?
Sure did.
Phenomenal. So it was all about jeans, right? That's what I remember, County Seat being all about jeans. And people would come into Aeropostale and be like, do you sell black jeans? I'm like, no, we don't. But County Seat sells them. And my manager would be like, why aren't you? I'm like, they want black jeans. We don't sell them. Like, if someone came in here and asked for a burrito, would you try to sell them a sweater? Like, they don't want, like, that's not what they're here for. Like, give them what they want. And then you say, we've got lots of sweaters, so go find your black jeans and come back up and I'll help you pick out a sweater to go with it. Like, so it's matchmaking. It's what do you need? What do we have? Where do those two things intersect? And for me, it's not just about the families that we serve, but it's about the donors who make that possible. So it's finding out what's important to you as a donor. I have an agenda. I have a goal. I have a target to hit, but I can't force you to be part of that. And if I come across, like, then you're no longer Brian and Chris, and you're a number, and that's not what relationships are.
That's brilliant.
Unless you're number one.
So how is it knowing, though, like, there's a certain amount of, valor, or you can get some positive vibes about, hey, I hit my number and I did this and I did that. And hey, great, ESPN's going to stay on the air until the fan comes on. But 93.7, the fan, that is. But
Paul Alexander.
We have come full circle yet again. But what is it now, like, knowing, like, does it mean more when it's Children's Hospital or Ronald McDonald House?
Yes. Which is part of the reason I left ESPN. Like, it was a good gig, and it was a lucrative gig at the time. But
you got out before the ship sank.
Yeah. I wanted more.
Maybe that's why. They always say Amy Rayman, she left.
Yeah, I know.
And
Just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I wanted more. I wanted more responsibility. I wanted growth, and that wasn't available. And so I started really thinking about, like, is this really what I want more of? And then I realized that I missed, because I had been in nonprofit before, and I missed that feeling. And I know it sounds kind of Pollyanna-ish, but I missed that feeling of doing something that was bigger. Because all due respect to the customers I served, and I had some really awesome customers on the air, if I helped you sell more pizzas or more tissues or whatever, like, that's great. And I'm glad, and I want to help your business, but what's that doing? Like, so.
Yeah, no, trust me. I mean, I sold a lot of wine.
Well, I was commission
That's
based,
great.
and I wanted to start a family, and I can remember, and obviously that was so many years ago that if I had that same type of job now, it would be a different financial picture. But I remember being like, some months I would make $100, some months I would make $1,000, and I was like, how do you have like, I don't know what the heck my income is, and so I wanted stability in that sense also.
And Ronald McDonald House is doing well. You hit your numbers. Everybody's good.
Yeah,
Family's being taken care of. Great.
Yeah, one of the things I think I'm most proud of with the charity is that throughout the entire pandemic, we have never had to close our doors.
Mhm.
And there are other chapters who had to close for an extended period of time, both due to financial reasons, but also for COVID and whatever else. But we were able to maintain, I say normal, quote unquote, normal operations through the entirety. And that meant that we could welcome families when they needed to be there. And that also meant that in most cases, we truly had families that were in the greatest need, because so many families opted to, like, if we didn't have to be traveling, we didn't because of COVID. If we didn't have to go to Pittsburgh, we didn't. If we didn't have to be hospitalized, we didn't. We found other ways. So we had, like the sickest of the sick.
And those dire of circumstances.
Yeah.
Man, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick, as we head towards, wrapping up, what is the best and hardest part about being a mom?
Mm-hmm.
And those, hopefully they're separate, but they could be the same.
I was gonna say the best and hardest part is watching them gain independence. That is the best part when I watch that light bulb moment for either one of the girls, and they're 5 years apart. So they're very different light bulb moments. I often refer to it as like mom whiplash, because I'm helping Abby with something very dramatic and important in 13. And then I'm like, how do you spell shoe, mom? And, like it's very different. But when I watch them gain independence, I know we're doing our jobs well and correctly, but also that's like the hardest part is like, when did it there's that saying about like, you don't always know the value of a moment until it's a memory. Sometimes that I don't remember when I last bathed Alyssa, because now she takes a shower.
We've talked about that before.
We talk about
where you never know when it's going to be the last time.
Yeah.
Of something. We were talking about, like, I think it was something simple, like Abby jumping into your arms in the pool.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like
or Ethan jumping off of my arms.
Well, you knew that was the last time.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, Ethan, I'll do it one more time.
Do you see that my shoulder is significantly lower?
Actually, his hamstring almost
was
fell
my
off.
hip.
But then eventually they just start jumping in the pool on their own, and you're like, oh, they don't need me anymore for that. Yeah.
I remember watching, like, when Abby was starting to walk, and she would be like scooching up the stairs, and I was a half an inch behind her, hands out, right behind her bum. And I remember thinking, like, I'm never gonna like leave her unattended, and then you don't remember when it's like, all right, I'm going downstairs to start dinner, I'll see you when you get down, or like, come on down and set the table in 5 minutes. Like, when did that happen?
Yeah.
But somebody told me when Abby was itty bitty, like, your kids aren't going to ask you for a bottle and the car keys at the same moment. Like, you're going to grow with them. And I tell Abby at least once a week, I'm like, what's really funny? I've never had a 12-year-old before. Isn't that crazy? Like, I've never had a 12-year-old before. And then Alyssa will get smart because she's my kid, and she'll go, yeah, well, you had an 8-year-old before. Thanks, Alyssa. Thanks for pointing that out. So if I've screwed you up, you're telling me I didn't get it right the first time, and now I'm like repeating the mistake. But
I think it's a really brilliant answer too, because it's the best and hardest.
Right,
and
she banged them both out.
That's such a great answer.
That is a good answer.
Because it's so
Thanks.
true.
They're good kids, though. I'm pretty blessed.
So when you have that little window of time where you go, I should have said, what will that be on your way home? What is it that, like you said, I really thought I was going to talk about? Anything you haven't brought to the table? I mean, certainly not enough Cougar Town talk. I get it.
Yeah, there's always room for more Big Chuck and Big Joe, and
R.I.P.
I feel like we might have to do a part 2, because I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
We didn't touch
on
a lot.
We haven't really talked about emotional needs in very substantial ways. So
yeah, I do think it's funny that I have where is it? Affection is a 7, but attention is a 3. I'm like, how do you get affection without attention? I'm going to hug you, but I'm not going to look at you. I'm not going to say your name, but I'm just going to hug you. I'm going to be affectionate, but I'm not going to give you any attention. That was my own lame interpretation of it. But
Well,
it made
I
me
actually
chuckle.
thought attention would be higher.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
So maybe we'll have to have you back after you retake the test or something. Maybe
Well,
it was
it's like a snapshot in time, so I'll bet you I could take it 10 times and it's different.
it comes up pretty similar.
You think?
More often than not.
Did we
If there's
do
a
this and
significant-
you're good to great?
We did.
I have to go find my folder.
Oh, you're that organized? You still have your folder?
I know I have it.
I was gonna say-
Where is it?
Oh,
So
well, it's
how
probably
organized
filed-
am I?
Is it by month or is it by activity? Cross-reference the sheet. You'll find it in the index.
Negative. I'll find
Yes.
it. I know it's a manila folder. I can picture it. I know what it looks like.
We'll touch on
I don't think there's anything
emotional
to
needs
say.
with one question. Your highest is encouragement.
Heck yeah, man.
and I didn't look at, and support's kind of low. I mean, you don't have a lot of variance in your answers.
I know, that's weird, right?
You know,
They're
your
all
highest is 8, your lowest is 3, which is attention, which we both think is crap. So, but
change approved. Make it different.
Support is 4. So are you much? Yeah, well, that's obvious as far as support being low. Like you don't want someone to help you.
Heck no. But I'll be mad if you don't at the same time. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm that person that I'm like, can't you see I'm drowning? I can do it all myself. But can't you see that I need help? But I'm fine. I can do it all by myself. I'm kind of nuts that way. God
but that's
bless
where the
Mark.
encouragement
God
would come in,
Mark.
though, right? Because you want somebody to maybe not come along and help you do it, but to say you could definitely do this. You got it.
Yeah, that's why I say there's a difference between being allowed to do something and encouraged. Like, and to me, again, those are like that's a distinction that I feel like is kind of slight, but also very.
No, that's brilliant. That is very distinct. Being allowed to versus being encouraged. You know, when I would ask the basketball coach at the high school, "Hey, can you promote? You know, we want some of the guys to play volleyball." Well, he wouldn't get in the way of it, but he sure didn't promote it.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of let it know, I don't want you to do this, but I'm not going to tell you you can't. So
Right.
he allowed it, but he didn't encourage it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that difference is easy.
I think
What we need to look
encouragement-
at is, I'm interrupting you and I
that's
apologize.
fine. You're fine. It's your podcast.
Because you said, no, it's our podcast, all of us. You said, I want to do it on my own, but can't you see that I'm doing it? So what's that other need? Because the doing it on my own is the lack of need of support. I don't want you to help me do it. But is it the attention? I want you to know that I'm doing it. Is it appreciation, which is I want you to appreciate that I'm doing this.
It's that.
So
It's a
it's
lot
the
of that.
appreciation.
Yeah. It's a lot of that because but I also I'm not a boy, now we're going to get into part 2. I am not in saying this statement, it's going to sound completely contradictory. I am not somebody who would toot my own horn.
No, you want somebody else to.
I want someone to notice it. I want someone to be aware of. I want someone to be proud of. I want someone to recognize it and acknowledge it. But I'm not going to do that.
Precisely.
And I'm getting better at, you'd be very proud of me. I'm getting much better at simply saying thank you and not always being like, whatever. Like, you know, like.
Tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. You look nice tonight. Yeah, whatever. My hair looks like crap. You know, like it's that I'm getting better at simply saying like, thank you, or that's nice of you to say. I had somebody email me the other day, Amy, you're doing a fabulous job. And I said, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Like acknowledging that it was kind of them to say that. And I appreciated it, not just, oh, whatever.
I could have done so much better.
Or even like, no, it's really the team. Because I'm like, you know what? Sometimes it's me, and that's
Right.
okay. Like, quite frankly, like the conductor is an important part of the orchestra too, right? So,
Yeah.
And is that need for appreciation because you had that met growing up, or because you didn't have that met growing up?
I think it's probably I've heard this posed several times on your podcast, and I think for me it's kind of a combination of both. I mentioned that my sister was very athletic
Had a big spotlight.
Yeah, but a big spotlight in demonstrative ways, right? Like like no one came and like stood and cheered for me while I took a test,
Yeah.
but we would be on the sideline. That'd be real weird. You can do it. Fill in that bubble. Come on, use a number 2 pencil. But we were on the sidelines cheering for her games. She lettered. We had banquets. We had like all of those things that you do to celebrate athletes. And so there was a lot of like outward, she had a letter jacket. Like I didn't letter in math. You know what I mean? Well, hell no, I didn't letter math. I can't even add sometimes. So that I think it's somewhere in the middle. Like, but my parents were very cognizant of like, this is, who Amy is as an individual. This is who Jen is as an individual. So
you got it, but
Yeah.
still just by nature didn't get it as much as
just
others.
got it differently.
Yeah, got it different.
I mean, because I still have Dean's List certificates hanging on my wall. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, and you didn't put them in a frame.
No,
Mom did.
My mom did.
Oh, I think she might win, like, for most healthy parent raising of anybody we've had on the show yet.
Sounds pretty healthy.
I mean, other than my parents, Eric, your parents, Brian. I mean, they're the top. But then other than that,
Okay.
because we never talk bad about
I came
our
home my
parents.
first semester and I had made the Dean's List and I was all excited and I was so proud of myself. My sister's like, boy, you're dumb. And I thought she was like being sarcastic, like, but you're, and I was like, oh, come on, Jen. And she's like, seriously, she's like, first semester? She's like, now you know that you set the bar that high. Mom and Dad are going to expect it every semester. And I was like, oh, Jen.
I
She's
see
like,
your point.
Nana boo boo.
And did you maintain it?
Yeah.
Look at you.
7 of 8 semesters.
Showed her.
I forget which one I didn't hit, but there was one that I didn't make Dean's List. I don't
Take
remember.
that, Jen.
Yeah. No. 7 of 8 semesters.
Well, Amy, I look forward to the next time you're on the show.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
I hope it was good for you. I hope you enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
this was a blast. Thank you. I
hope
didn't
all-
overthink too much, did I?
Not at all. Yeah, she's right in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Hey, thanks.
That's it for episode 157. Please make sure to give us a like or follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, do take our relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome. Bye.
See ya in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Enjoy your vacation.
Bye.
Five, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It is Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight is episode 157.